North Carolina. Talk about a blue blood matchup, huh? How about North Carolina taking on UCLA? This was 2, now back to 2.5 here as I'm currently looking at it. 142 seems to be the total across the board here for the most part, and obviously some injury concerns here for UCLA, but even with them, not a whole lot of movement one way or the other, Tony Mejia. So how do you approach North Carolina, UCLA tonight?
Well, I think, first of all, the big question is, will Jaime Jaquez play? And I believe the answer is going to be yes. How effective it'll be, we'll see. But, he's been playing injured all season. So, I would think he'll do what is needed of him. And typically, he's Mick Cronin's ride or die on who brings the most passion to play. Point guard Tiger Campbell is key in this matchup as well against the Tar Heels. Because, the first few minutes, I think North Carolina is going to have the run of the building geographically. UCLA has fans there, but I think there'll be more Tar Heel Nation representation in attendance. So Campbell is going to be key in getting through that early first few minutes, making sure that UCLA stays connected. And there from there, I think you'll see the matchup that we want to see in terms of another nail biter that comes down to the final minutes, where you're talking about UCLA's tournament experience, having gotten from the first 4 to the final 4 last season, and now facing a North Carolina squad that's really grown up over the past few weeks, because they looked pretty terrible under Hubert Davis for a while, and then ended up being the class of the ACC outside of Duke. Wake Forest was in there as well, but the way Armando Bacot played down the stretch, Caleb Love, RJ Davis, young guards that really struggled earlier in their careers are playing really well. So that'll be a big test there. I'm going to wait definitively to make sure that Hawkins plays before I put in a play. But again, I expect him to. So if you don't want to wait, I think you should make your plays based on the expectation that UCLA will be as close to full strength as possible.
Good point there. Brad, we just watched experience matters at this point in the game, doesn't it? We watched the Houston team last night with a lot of experience on that court for them last night, whether it be with Houston or other programs. UCLA, does it get any more experience than these guys in this point? So how do you approach this game tonight?
Yeah, Tony kind of mentioned it. The location of where this game is played, I think, is a definite advantage for North Carolina. UCLA, a team from the West Coast, having to play in the Eastern time zone. But I hate to make judgments about teams that we're not talking about, but the West Coast teams have not done well. And we saw Arizona lose yesterday, a number 1 seed. We saw Gonzaga lose, a number 1 seed yesterday. The West Coast basketball has not been very good. Even out here in the Mountain West, we had 4 teams to make the tournament. They go 0-4. Now we're making the West Coast team is somewhat of a high favorite here in my regard. I have this game probably, UCLA probably should be favored by 1. We're catching 2.5 here with the North Carolina team, who's playing their best basketball of the season. Neither team is very good defending in transition, so I think they'll both be able to run a little bit. I like this North Carolina team. There's a lot of height on this team. I like the way this team plays, and I think the line's a little bit too high today. So I'm looking at North Carolina. I think the where this game is being played is not being as much of a factor as it should be, and I'm looking to fade these West Coast teams. They have not been covering the spreads. They have not been looking impressive. UCLA does have a lot of talent on this team, no doubt about it. And they have been here before, but this North Carolina, a lot of it comes down to the coaches and how they prepare these teams. And North Carolina's had a lot of success over the years in these tournaments. So I think North Carolina's got a little bit of value here.
Listen, North Carolina playing some of its best basketball, Tony, Finn, certainly down the stretch in the ACC tournament. In this game, taking down Baylor, they have looked amazing, but they are certainly tending to try to go up-tempo here, and that is not Mick Cronin, that is not UCLA. So who dictates tempo in this game? You think North Carolina can handle it?
Well, I'll tell you who dictates tempo, and that's the team who first off, rebounds the basketball well, and in combination with the team that doesn't shoot very well from the field. That would be UCLA. If they don't shoot very well from the field, then North Carolina is going to dictate tempo. Listen, to state the obvious, the Heels are playing at a level in which you either believe they will continue to play that form and back Herbie D in North Carolina, or you understand what this team has been all season. That's inconsistent nature, and that would be the backdrop in this UCLA. Basically, it would be in this UCLA victory. In that case, Joe, the number one seeds, well, the lone number one seed that remains is really the only team that is dynamic offensively like North Carolina is at this level, on this stage, I should say. So UNC is solid on the boards. They turn those rebounds into transition points. And much of this, again, depends on how well UCLA shoots. Now, the Heels have had 40-plus rebounds in 5 of the last 7, and UCLA has rebounded 40 on only 5 or 6 occasions all season. I believe UCLA is a little damaged. We talked a little bit about the injury. We'll know more basically at game time. But in this situation, it's hard for me not to support North Carolina or just completely ignore the game because of the unknown factor, that being injury.
Going to be a good one here, guys, tonight.
Yeah.
That's going to be, I believe, the 9:40 Eastern time tip.